Well, hello. Today is the Saturday before the 4th of July. Well, I got up this morning and I thought, I need to make a couple of pies. How many of y'all have had trouble making pie crust? Well, I have a lot. I have found this recipe that makes the best pie crust, and it's so easy. And you can make them ahead of time. You can put them in the freezer, take them out and roll them, and they turn out great. To me, it's the best part of the pie. I made a tomato pie yesterday. It was delicious, and I hope to get the recipe on here. But right now, I'm going to show you how to make the pie crust. This is so easy, anybody could do it. I'm talking about anybody. And it doesn't require a whole lot of ingredients. It calls for 1 pie crust. You have 1 stick of butter. You have 1 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour, 1/2 teaspoon of sugar, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And it depends on your humidity, between 4 to 5, sometimes 6 tablespoons of ice cold water. You use a food processor to make it in, and it's very easy. So I'm going to walk you through these steps, and I hope that you'll try to do this. I have bought pie crust. Lots of times I'll buy them ahead of time, I'll leave them in the freezer and they get broken up. And then I don't get to use them. And that's a big waste of money. So if you could do this and save yourself some time and some money and have a better tasting pie crust, this will be good for you. Now, remember, if you like this video, go to my channel on YouTube, MELITA'S, that's with an apostrophe, MELITA apostrophe S, homemade. And like and subscribe and share it, please. I've already gotten up on my viewers in the last week, and I hope to get even more. I'm trying to research a bunch of recipes, and maybe I'll do more YouTube. So let's get started making this pie crust. Okay, when you get started in making this pie crust, you're going to need 2.5 cups of flour. I'm doing a double recipe here. Any time that you're doing flour, you don't just dip your flour thing in there and come out with it. What you need to do is get a smaller dipper, pick up your flour, and pour it in your cup.
I found this on the web.
This is a cup measuring cup that I have here. And you just lightly put it in there. Okay, there's 1 cup. I'm gonna make a mess here. I should have put it in a bowl. All right, here comes another one. Flour is different than doing a liquid measurement. And if you pack it in there, you're gonna have too much flour. There's 2 cups. And I might make it to a 1/2 cup here. Okay. So I need a 1/2 cup. Let's see what I can get this here. There's 1. Tap it down. With this cup, you can do a 1/2 cup measurement. I think I got a little bit too much there. Okay. Okay, that's 1/2 cup. Okay, I'm going to go over to the processor, and I'm going to put this flour in the food processor. And then I'll bring you back. Okay, I'm back. I've dumped my flour in my food processor. Now I'm going to measure out a teaspoon of sugar, because it called for a 1/2 teaspoon, remember? And a teaspoon of salt, because I'm doing a double recipe here instead of just a single one. And it called for a 1/2 teaspoon. Before I started filming today, I took 2 sticks of butter and I cut them up in cubes and I stuck them into the into the freezer. You want it really good and cold. You don't want anything hot. This is like magic the way it does this. I'm dumping it all in there, all at one time. Okay? I'm going to put my top on. This is very important because the other day I didn't lock this down and I had flour flew everywhere. I'm not putting my thing in because this is where I'm going to put my water. I've got my tablespoon for my water, and I've got my cup of water. It's ice water. I already done that up earlier and I let it get good and cold. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off pulsing. Whoopsie. Pulsing it. Can't see nothing but my arm, can you? Okay, I'm pulsing it. I'm going to pulse this down to where that butter's going to get all mixed up in that flour, and it's going to look a lot like cornmeal. I'm sorry about the noise, but I'll try to get it done as fast as I can. Well, let me check it. It's cold. Got little pieces of butter and I can feel it. And be real careful when you do this because you can reach down there and cut your finger. These blades are really sharp. If you look, this butter is like a little pea. It's little. You don't want it real fine. You kind of want little pieces in there because that's what's going to make the crust be flaky. Wipe my hands off. And so I think I'm going to pulse it once or twice more and make sure. Because we had so much butter in it. Okay, now I think we're ready for our water. I'm going to start off with 4 teaspoons of cold water. I'm going to turn this on low while I do it. And it should stay on. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we know that's not going to work. We're doing a double recipe, so it's probably going to take at least 8. 6, 7, 8. Now I'm going to stop it. And I'm going to pulse it. So all the cups coming together. And I can tell right now that it's still too dry. Put some more in there. Depends on your flour, a lot of conditions. Oh, see, now it's moving. It's going to be forming a ball for the thing. Starting to look better. See how it looks now? I don't know if you can see it or not. See how it's all forming together? Let me feel it. I think maybe a drop or 2 more, not much. Because down in the bottom it's still a little bit dry. Okay. It's just something you got to kind of feel. Got my fingers all dirty again. I'll put just a little bit. It's probably a teaspoon. Now that's looking good. think that's it. Okay, now I'm going to stop y'all, and I'm going to set up my flat where I'm going to roll out bring all this together. Okay, now what I have here, I have a pastry mat up under here, but it's silicone and I don't really like the way it feels. I like using a cloth. The cloth holds the flour. The flour kind of sinks down into the cloth. This is like one of those, like the old-fashioned diapers, really. But it's, what do they call them? I can't even think. Anyway, it's for the kitchen. I use them for all kinds of stuff. And it really is good for doing pastry and anything like that. Okay, I'm going to dump all of this out onto my cloth. I don't want to stick my hand down there because it's got that blade. And it feels pretty good. You don't want to handle this too much because the more you handle it, it'll make it tough. You don't want it to be tough. So, you don't want the warmth of your hands. You still want that butter to be in there. So I'm going to gather it all up. And what I got here is a piece of saran wrap. And let me put this out of the way if I cut my finger off. And I'm going to gather this all together in one disc. Just as well as I can. And a trick is to try to mash it together flat. I see bits of butter all in there. And I'll take it off of this. It's got flour on this side, but not too much. That's the whole deal. You don't want to put too much flour on it. And I'm pushing it all together. And I'm going to try to get it flat as I can, because it'll make it easier when I roll it out. Now, what I do after I do this is I will put it in the refrigerator and I'll let it rest for at least 30 minutes before I roll it out, because all the gluten's in it have to work, and it all has to come together. So it's still cold. I can feel it's cold. And I'll put this in the refrigerator, wrap it up really good and tight. If something were to happen and I couldn't come right back, it'd be fine. It'll still be there. Don't want any air to get to it. And I'll put it in the refrigerator just like that. And then I'll bring y'all back when I roll it out. Okay, we're back. I've let it chill. Now what I'm going to do is cut this. I got a bench scraper, but it's on the other side of the kitchen. Just use a butter knife. I'll cut this. I'm going to do a apple pie. So I'm going to cut this like that. And I use this for the top crust and this for the bottom. I hope that's right. Okay. I'm gonna form this into more of a round disc. I'm using this marble rolling pin because it's heavy and it'll do a lot of the work. And I'm gonna roll it out like this. Cloth's moving a little bit. Roll it out. Now when it starts to get long like that, you rotate it. Flip it over. I canned these apples like in 2020. And I thought, this would be a good time to use some of them. And Howard would like this, so that's what I'm doing. Just keep rolling and rolling. trying my best to get the hang of this YouTube stuff. It's all this editing and all that stuff, but I guess I'm old. Seems awful aggravating to me. But I'm getting better, I hope. Now let me know if y'all like what I'm doing. Make sure you like and subscribe and share it. Share it with your friends. I'm going to get on my book over here now. Okay. I think that's big enough. Let me get my pie plane. I bought one of these in bunches from Amazon. Oh, that's plenty big. Okay. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and I'm going to fold it up. See, it's not sticking to that towel like it would if I had it on that silicone. I'm doing it in a triangle so I can get it to fit in there. Just doing my rolling pin. Okay, I'm gonna fold it out. Whoop. Slide on it. See, it's very forgiving. Pat it down in there. Trim off my excess. It's too much. And put it in with my other so I can roll it. I'll put that back in the refrigerator. We'll let this rest too. Let's get it all rolled out. Okay. Put it right like this. Now, I'm not a professional pie maker. Like I said, I've always avoided it because I didn't like doing the crust. But this makes it a lot easier. Okay, now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to set this one out of the way. Well, I don't need to dry out. I'm going to take this and I'm going to get some more plastic wrap. I'm going to stick it in the refrigerator while I work on the top part because we don't want this to dry out. I'm going to tuck this under here because we know that's too much. Thinking about doing a lattice crust. I don't know. A little bit of that right there. Put it up under there. Y'all see something on my hand? I was out working my flowers and I got some blackberries. I haven't planted yet. They're in a pot. What I do, scratch myself. That's me. I'm an accident waiting to happen. Everywhere I go. Okay, now I got that all like that. Now I'm going to leave it like that for now. And put it in the refrigerator again. Put a piece of saran wrap over it. I'll take this right here. And put it out here so I can work with it. And I'll take this saran wrap and wrap this back up. You don't want it to dry out. Okay? Alright, I'm back. Okay. Take this. Make a disc out of it just like I did the other one. Put in some flour. See, that cloth keeps from getting too much flour on it. I love these cloths. I use them for everything. They dry out fast. You bleach them. Back when my babies was little, this is what diapers was made out of. Before they had Pampers. You had to learn how to fold these things so that it's down the baby. I had trouble with that. Use 2 safety pins. Y'all remember that? How many of y'all remember that? Lord, I was glad to see them disposable diapers come around. But they was expensive. Now everybody just thinks they gotta have them. They talk about dirtying up the world. How many diapers you think dirty up the world? They're supposed to be biodegradable. But sure is a big convenience. Okay, now I had me an extra pie pan laying out here so I could tell what size I wanted. I don't want that to go like that. I want it to go like that. Like that. Okay, that side's a little bit thin. Okay. This is my pie pan. Now, see, this one won't fold over. It's going to go on top. So, what I'm going to do is take it off of my cloth. I'm going to do just like I did before. I'm going to fold it in a triangle. And I'm going to wrap it up and stick it in the refrigerator until my filling cools down. And then I'll bring y'all back. Okay, I got my oven preheating. I got my filling in my pie pan. Don't look too great, but I bet it'll be good. And now I'm going to put my crust on. I think that top's a little bit thick right there. Roll that out a little bit more. Don't want it too thick. I'm going to lay it over, okay? Got it laid over. Now, this ain't going to be like a fresh apple pie. If it was a fresh apple pie, just stack all the apples up and have it real high. But I don't have fresh apples. So I'm using canned apples. So I'm trimming this off. Should have used my scissors. Yeah, my scissors. Ta-da! Right there by me too. Oh, that's so much better. Okay, I got that trimmed off. Okay, now I'm gonna take and put it together. Much as I can. Guess I should have wet it. Get a little water and wet it. Wet my fingers and put it together. Yeah, that makes it, that bonds it together. Find a little thin spot. You got some extra dough, just stick it under there because we're going to put all that together anyway. It ain't going to matter. I want it to kind of look even. I want it to be pretty. Okay. Ooh, my crust went in. Okay. That's what the problem is right there. Okay. Now, there's several ways you can do this. I always crimp mine like this, like that. My fingers is like that, like that. Try to make it as even as you can. So what are y'all gonna do on the 4th of July? I think we're gonna have a quiet day. Today's my grandson's birthday, Austin Nobles. We're gonna go over tomorrow and celebrate it, I hope. And then we're gonna just chill out on the 4th of July. Now with a pie like this, you have to either brush it with some milk if you want it to brown good, or, and I need to cut some vents in the top. I should let that filling cool off a little bit more. And I never, ever, ever put a pie in the oven without I put it on a cookie sheet because it will mess your oven up. So I'm gonna take and cut some vent holes like that, like that. Trying to make them even, like that. One in the center. It's got to have a way to vent. Okay. Okay. And let me get some milk, and we'll brush some milk on it. Okay, I got the milk brushed on. I used a silicone brush to brush it with. It looks white, but that'll all disappear. You won't even see it. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sprinkle some sugar on top. This sugar are brown. If I had sanding sugar, it would be better because you'd have big chunks of sugar on it then. This will make it a little bit more sweet. And it makes it pretty too. So, I'm going to, my oven's preheating. See what temperature it is. I should already turn it on. It's not quite there yet. Let me get a cookie sheet. And for added protection, I get a piece of aluminum foil. I'll be right back. Okay, this is the pie before it goes in the oven. Remember, these are pretty good. I got all kinds of those things, but I like that one for doing something like this because you don't have to put a lot of effort into it. I'm going to put the pie in, and when it gets done, I'll bring y'all back and let you see what it looks like. Okay, the pie is done, and it looks delicious. It's boiling hot, so I got to let it cool off so Howard can eat it with ice cream. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you did, please go to YouTube to MELITA'S Homemade. Like and subscribe and share with your friends. I would really appreciate it. See you later. Have a happy 4th of July.